Hi, it's Lizana Lily. I'm a product designer in San Francisco, and today I'm excited to finally share that I've started a new role at Pinterest. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that the aim of my channel is to provide valuable content around design and interviewing. So for today, I want to share the tactics that I use to land my current role, as well as other offers that I've received, and hopefully this will help you if you're looking for a new role or maybe potentially thinking of one. Let's jump right into it. First and foremost, I want to acknowledge how tough the job marketplace is. According to Indeed, the job openings for UX and product design dropped 70% from 2021 to 2023. And I feel like it's a continuation of those hard times since then due to the fact that interest rates have drastically increased and cash flow in tech has decreased. Personally, I felt like the design openings since 2023 has still been less than half than 2021. In this current landscape, I have felt that the top of the funnel for the interview funnel has mattered a lot more than before. This means that there are higher expectations for your portfolio website as well as more expectations for the recruiter screening. So it used to be that you might be competing against senior designers or even entry designers for a senior role. Now it's not uncommon to be competing against staff level designers for senior roles. And because of the sandbagging, there's more expectation at each level. With the portfolio website, there's now a higher bar for craft and skill, and having a sharp eye for craft is table stakes at this point. Now, me personally, I've had to make a brand new portfolio website in order to get the interviews and leads I wanted to get hired. My previous portfolio website was still decent because it landed me offers as well as my previous role, so it wasn't terrible, but it didn't have the high level of craft that I felt like I needed to stand out. The job I applied for Pinterest, which was a cold application by the way, had over 1,000 applications. So once I created a brand new website, I will say that the response rate felt like day and night. And in fact, at this time around, I had the most interviews and on-sites I've had in my entire career. I mean, at one point I was juggling 12 companies at the same time, and these were all public tech companies. So I know it's possible, but the bar for portfolio websites is higher than ever. I've yet to meet a designer who has a great portfolio that is not getting any interviews. Maybe that has happened in a parallel universe, but certainly I've yet to witness in this one. To maximize the highest ROI for my time, I did things like adding testimonials to my site, which at the time I didn't see anyone else do. I did things like adding video to my portfolio website, adding just interesting tidbits about me in my story, or just interesting small design details like a cool cursor. Most importantly, really package everything down to 3 themes that I decided for myself, which was innovation, because I worked in high tech, high impact, because I had worked on projects that generated millions in revenue, and lastly, a high bar for craft in both the work that I shared as well as the website design itself. Regardless of what you do with a portfolio website, at the end of the day, it is a way to market yourself. So every time when you're applying for a new job, you're just generating more traffic to your website. And every visitor is a potential lead on your website that you hopefully want to convert them to do an action, which could be to buy services if you're freelancers, or book a call, which means to hit you up for that next interview. And if you're curious to see how my portfolio website looks like that landed me at Pinterest, as well as my previous portfolio websites that landed me on my previous roles, then you can check it out in the link in the descriptions. For my portfolio website, since I was working and interviewing at the same time and I wanted to find something within 2.5 months, I didn't have a lot of time to create a complicated website with a bunch of case studies. And I think a website that loads fast and gets straight to the point is more important than ever. So I opted for a simple and lean approach where I really distilled down the essence of who I was, and I really made sure that I packaged what I felt was key to my story. And in the past, I've had more thorough websites with multiple tabs as well as long case studies, and I will say that I don't feel like the long case studies are a good return for my time. The second step of the funnel that was different than in the past is the recruiter screening. It used to be that the recruiter screening can often just be a formality in which they will just do a vibe check and then put you through with the hiring manager. But nowadays, because of the sheer amount of applicants, I mean, the job that I applied for had over 1,000 applicants. Because of the sheer amount of applicants, they're also now responsible for filtering down the candidate pool, meaning that it's pretty common for recruiters to ask you behavioral questions or even case study work questions in depth. The first 2 weeks I was interviewing with recruiters, it was pretty rough because over half of my recruiter screenings did not lead to hiring manager calls, so I actively chose to work on my likability skills. And this was advice I had gotten from someone who had experienced the same. They would go to networking events and then make small chats with strangers, so I started doing that. I also took virtual public speaking classes so I could be more succinct and sound more confident in the stories I shared. And also, even though likability is a wild card factor because you can't 100% control how others feel about you, I will say it is more important than ever to make that connection with the interviewers, because now you will have maybe 10 people who are in the 70 to 80% versus in the past, you might have those 10 people be in the 50 to 80% competency range. So being competent mattered a lot more. Now, because of the sheer amount of candidates in the pool, due to layoffs, due to low job openings, those 10 people you're competing against are all within the same competency range as yourself. So if you're on the hiring team and you're choosing the next coworker you want to work with, are you going to pick someone that's 3%, 5% more competent? Or are you going to pick someone that you think you'll enjoy having lunch with every day? One more thing I noticed about this current landscape is that I'm running into a lot of interviewers with a scarcity mindset. And in the past, it used to be uncommon, but nowadays it's very common. And what I mean by the scarcity mindset is that they have an agenda of keeping competition out. And due to the level of talent that's available in the marketplace, the high supply of talent versus the low supply of design openings, a lot of them, their motto is to give you gotcha questions, sometimes extremely difficult questions that are nearly impossible to answer and they're just never satisfied with your answers, or they can be slightly condescending, if not outright condescending, and the feedback that they give to your work can often be really off-putting, that's extremely negative or nitpicky, that's just completely in contrast to the rest of your interview experience. And I've had that myself as well, where the feedback was very odd, but yet when I requested a re-interview, which I successfully got, the feedback was extremely positive, so it was like day and night. And even the interactions with the former interviewer was off-putting versus a very positive experience with the re-interview. So I've had that experience, and just sharing that out there, that it's not in your head, that it is happening. I'd say as high as even 15% of people that I interview with are like this, versus in the past, it was like 10% or less. All the tactics I've shared in this video is not a substitute for the reps that you just have to put into doing interview prep as a product designer. For example, I've done multiple whiteboard challenges to prepare for my whiteboard onsites. I would also do sporadic app critiques on my phone, just talking to myself and pretending like I'm in an interview, and also making sure that I was sharing the most interesting tidbits of those stories. And frankly speaking, during the majority of my interview period, I was holed up at home because I was working on a high impact project at work while also interviewing and getting my portfolio and presentation ready the same days. So it's definitely not glamorous or fun, but I felt like those sacrifices were necessary to get me where I am today. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. I wanted to share my key tactics and how I've adapted to the current job landscape, and maybe these tactics will help you in your next job search. If you want to see more content from me, a product designer in San Francisco currently at Pinterest, then hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. As always, take care.